Hi everyone, my name's Lauren and I'm going to be telling you a little bit about Spanish flu today. So, Spanish flu occurred during 1918 to 1920 and it was a worldwide pandemic. So, it was actually incorrectly named. Spain was a neutral country in World War I and that was happening around the same time. So, it Spain was one of the first countries to report on the flu outbreak. And so most people, since they saw that Spain was reporting it first, they thought it started in Spain. However, that's not true. Now, the microbe that causes Spanish flu is a virus. It is known as influenza A and subtype H1N1. During this time, there were no vaccines, so the spread of the virus was really rampant. It spread to over 500 million people, which was over a third of the world's population at the time. And another one of the really interesting things about it is that it had an uncommon infection age. So most flus are going to infect those who are really young or elderly. However, the Spanish flu mostly affected those who were aged between 20 and 40. And then this photo that we have here is from the time of the Spanish flu outbreak. It's just going to list some things about what you can do to help prevent yourself from getting it. Now, like I said, influenza A H1N1 is the virus that causes Spanish flu, and it likes to live in the droplets of infected humans. And it's also able to live on surfaces for a short amount of time. That's going to include like countertops or doorknobs, anything where the virus has landed. And it likes to enter through the eyes, nose, or mouth. And then most people are contagious one day before symptoms and up to 5 to 7 days after becoming sick. So it's really easy to spread from person to person if there's like any coughing or droplet transfer. Now, all those things that I just mentioned are also a part of Spanish flu since it is an influenza A virus. However, Spanish flu also has some really uncommon things that happen with it. So the exact origins are unknown because it happened so long ago, but it was likely an avian virus. So that's going to mean it started in birds and then mutated to infect humans. And then it does replicate faster than most other flu viruses, so that's probably one of the reasons why it was able to spread to so many different people. In one study, it was found that it replicated 39,000 times faster than a similar strain of the flu. And then once again, it infected children and the elderly, but mostly those aged between 20 and 40. And then this photo here is from 1918 and it is a flu ward. So you can see how close these people are, and that's going to give the flu a really good opportunity to continue to spread between all those different people. However, most places were not properly equipped to hold the amount of people that got infected. Now, onto the reproduction of H1N1 or the Spanish flu. So if we look at this top photo here, and you can kind of see it on the bottom photo as well, but there are these little spiky things on the surface of the virus. So those are actually proteins, and there's two different kinds. There's hemagglutinin and neuraminidase. And so when they want to enter a host cell, they go to attach. And on the host cell, there's these little things. They're called sialic acid, and so that's actually what those are going to bind to. The hemagglutinin is going to bind to the sialic acid, and that's like a lock to a key. It's going to allow the virus to enter the host cell almost undetected. And then it does like to enter lung cells. So like I mentioned before, eyes, nose, and mouth are usually where it enters, and those are almost direct pathways to the lungs. So once the virus enters the host cell, it uses its RNA and turns the cell's DNA to make copies. Now, those copies leave the cell by budding, so there is no cell destruction with this virus. and then it is dependent on the host for energy to reproduce. Now, on to the symptoms. So, like we talked about before, the Spanish flu had a lot of symptoms common to other flus, and those are going to include flus that are around today. So, typical symptoms, they're going to be fever, cough, sore throat, a runny or a stuffy nose, headaches, and fatigue. And while we've got that in mind, if we look at this photo here, so this is some reports from 1918 of army camps that had different symptoms. So this very top one is sudden onset, so that's going to be like how quickly the symptoms started. The second one is prostration, and so that's actually fatigue. So you can see that really sudden onset fatigue and high temp, or like a high fever, and then headache are the most common symptoms. However, Spanish flu also had some really deadly symptoms like pneumonia, encephalitis, which is the swelling of the brain, extreme fever, blood in the urine, or even coma. Now, Spanish flu is not around today. However, there's still a lot we can learn from it. So, while the exact strain of Spanish flu isn't around, it has mutated to create other influenza A strains. So there are multiple different kinds of influenza A H1N1, and they come from different places. So the swine flu outbreak of 2009, it's been found that part of the swine flu had mutated from Spanish flu. And then we do have other flus today, not just H1N1, but lots of other kinds. And so in 2021 to 2022, there was an estimated 11 million flu infections for the year, and that was worldwide. So while that 11 million is very different from the 500 million that were infected in 1918 to 1920, it just shows that we can learn from the past, and take what we know about the Spanish flu and take that and move on to create better vaccines in the future. So, yeah, studying the virus serves as a basis for combating current strains. And this photo here is research being done on the Spanish flu virus. So he's in here, he's got like a ventilated area. Of course, you can see that they have a mask on, they are well protected from the virus. Now, if you do get influenza A, or commonly known as the flu, there are definitely things that you can do now. It's probably not going to be as bad as it was in 1918. So, there are yearly vaccines created for flu season. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, because scientists are estimating what flus are going to be most prevalent for the year. But we do at least have vaccines, unlike during the time of Spanish flu. Rapid tests are also very common, so if you feel sick, you can go to the doctor and find out if you have influenza. And if you do test positive for influenza, there are antiviral drugs available that can help you get over the sickness faster. And then there are also some things that you should try to do. So this bottom picture here is from 1918 or 1919. And it's going to tell you what to do to prevent influenza, and a lot of those things are going to be the same today, such as avoid public places, cover mouth when you cough or sneeze, try to avoid sharing any kind of droplets with other people that may be infected, and cover your mouth and nose with a mask when you go out. So really, thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you were able to learn something about Spanish flu. I had a lot of fun making this and learning more about it. It was really interesting. And then here are just my sources. Here is the first half, and here's the second half. Again, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day.